Welcome back. Joining me now is Marcia Warfel, a commissioner for the CSWG. Welcome, Marcia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, how long have you been on the commission?
I started in 2014, so it's been a couple of years now.
Okay. And what are some of the projects that you all have worked on?
Initially, we were working on several projects, but one of the biggest projects was probably launching our big annual report, which was a big compilation of issues that were surrounding women and girls here in our community, primarily women and girls in every age group. And it was a big overarching task because we were trying to tackle every issue from poverty, sexual violence, bullying, every issue, and we compiled it in this really big annual report. And what we were trying to do with that was just trying to gather a baseline for the issues that were surrounding women and girls here in our community. And from that, we were able to tackle just a few of the issues, maybe the top 3, and present those to our county and city commissioners on recommendations that we could do to enforce some of the policy changes that might affect women and girls here in our community.
Okay, and what were some of those, what were those top 3 issues at the time?
The big 3 that we found were transportation was one of the big issues for women in our community. Obviously, you know, one of the issues that we have is that our transportation system, our bus lines only go a certain route and a certain distance. So that was an effect. Another was lighting at bus stops and different issues that women were facing with just public transportation, and especially moms, single mothers trying to get to and from work. So simple, basic ideas that we wouldn't have thought of until we delved into some of the issues surrounding some of the women and girls in our community. And from that, we undertook some of the process into look into surveys to see if we can get some more information from women abroad, over a broad spectrum of women in our community. And our commissioners decided to go to some of those public areas where we can get that good feedback on our surveys and then present those to the commission. And we were able to get some good recommendations out of that in order to move some legislation forward.
Wow, that's great. So what's the value for you in being on the commission?
Oh, the value for me, I think it's empowering women and girls.
Okay.
It's something that I hold dear to my heart. It was one of the main reasons why I joined. I'm a single mother, and I wanted to be a role model to my daughter. And I think the best way is to really take action in doing what you believe in, and trying to get as much information out there to really try to make women their best that they can be, and a true transformation of themselves, a true version, authentic selves of themselves. And I'm hoping through the commission we can empower women with some of the tools, knowledge, and things and issues or resources that they might need that can help them in their journey.
So are there any specific issues that you would like to see the commission cover?
Well, one of the big issues that the commission has tried to tackle is the national issue on sexual violence. And out of that, since we are a city that has 2 universities, the Florida State University and FAMU universities, we decided that as a commission that we should try and tackle some of these issues that were actually affecting the very community we live in. And sexual violence, unfortunately, was an issue that was happening during the highlight of this national issue. At that point, the commission chair, Jessica Low-Minor, decided to take on that issue and actually set up a committee separate from the commission, strictly to focus on the sexual assault.
So like a subcommittee?
A subcommittee focused on actually looking at policy recommendations that we could present to the commission following bringing all the stakeholders together. We brought stakeholders from not only law enforcement, but private sector, public sector, all of them together in one room, anyone that had anything to do with sexual violence. The issue primarily is we were thinking of the victim. thinking of how the victim would have to tell their story over and over again, and how traumatic that could be. And we were trying to see how we could minimize that issue, how we can streamline maybe some of the questions, how we can minimize some of the harsh effects that are already affecting that victim. One of the things we did find is that actually having maybe a room that was more comfortable for the women primarily that were impacted, or girls, made them feel safer, more comfortable in a safer zone. And we tried to, at the Law Enforcement Center, recreate something that could be beautiful and feminine and attractive and comfortable for the women during their investigative process. In addition to that, we found some loopholes, some things that were affecting the women and girls, and it's how the communication from case to case wasn't effectively being communicated, perhaps from FDLE to a sheriff's office or to your local law enforcement. So it was trying to see how we can stream those effects. And the good thing is that we were able to find some loopholes, and we had those stakeholders at the table. So it was wonderful that once we did the recommendation, which was a little bit of maybe we need to have more investigators, or maybe how can we, is there a tool, a software that we can use to make it easier? And we're able to come up with some ideas and some things that could effectively make those recommendations. And one of them was actually bringing more law enforcement with specific attention to victim assistance care.
The commission has a summit coming up.
Yes.
And there are several speakers that will be there to talk about issues that are relative to women and girls. Who are some of the folks that'll be there that you're excited about?
Oh, I'm excited of so many, but Heidi Ottaway is one of my favorites. She's with Salter Mitchell. It's a public relations firm here. It's one of the top public relations firms in Tallahassee. And she brings that communication level to women, how they can express themselves in an effective way. Because we notice that girls so many times are affected in our community by social media, or by just their presence on how they communicate with adults or seniors or other professionals in the community. So I'm really excited about what Heidi has to say to some of the women and girls in our community, and see how they can enhance their presence in the community and make the best version of themselves. So that's one of them, yes, definitely.
Wonderful. I know there's been a push for girl power and empowering women to just be great.
That's right.
You know, just embrace your womanhood and your femininity and not feel like you're less than.
That's right.
And I know that's part of what the summit will be about as well, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. Major issues that we're tackling are some of the issues that we mentioned before. It's all about wellness and self-care and empowerment and leadership, and what do I do next? What are my next steps, especially for those women and for those girls that are in high school and transitioning from high school into college? What are they going to do? And so helping to answer some of those questions of what am I going to do, and how can I get there, and what's the most effective way I can. We have topics such as mentoring, career development, leadership, all those good things that women and girls need to know about, especially in their development process. So I'm really excited about that.
That is wonderful. Well, I think it's going to be a great summit too. I'm looking forward to it. Yes. And I want to thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on Conversations with Nicole.